Hi, this is Dr. Tom Moorcroft. Welcome to Full Cup Life, the podcast that goes behind the science of living well to exposing the truths and tactics to savor all that your journey to greater success has to offer to you every sip of the way. As you know, so much of what I'm about in my personal life and professionally is our mindset. And we realize that in medicine, we've got this thing called the placebo effect. It's something like a third of all medical outcomes, including surgical, have to do with our mind. And so I really think mindset mastery is critical. So today you guys are in for a super treat. I've got my good friend, Michael Bernoff here. He's the author of this amazing new book, Average Sucks, Why You Don't Get What You Want and What You Can Do About It. Highly recommend everybody go check it out, and you're going to learn why right now. Michael, what's happening, man? Thanks for joining me.
What's up, Dr. Tom? Super excited to be here and talking mindset, something everybody needs right now.
Absolutely. I mean, and when I get introduced to you, it was kind of like I saw this guy stand up on stage at a health entrepreneurs conference, and everybody's telling you how to do it. And then you were just like, no, it's not how. There's lots of how, but it's really about what you're thinking that allows you to get it done. And it's really like the what you're looking for, and then you go into the how. So I thought we could, I thought that was such an important thing here in COVID time to talk about that, because so many people are freaking out. But before that though, because there's so many things to talk about, I want to go back. We're homies from New Jersey.
Yeah, old school.
So I like going back to the roots.
Prior, but we knew each other.
Exactly. So tell me about New Jersey and growing up and what got you into what you're doing, and then we can dive into exactly what you do.
Yeah, I'm from New Jersey. I live in Scottsdale, Arizona right now, which couldn't be any more different. And the New Jersey I grew up in is definitely different than New Jersey right now. I could definitely tell you that much. From at least what I see the news tells me, and they're always
right.
Honest. The news is always honest, right? And they tell the truth.
Sure.
But I grew up in New Jersey. I'm a middle-class kid from Morris County, New Jersey. And, it's interesting. What made me do what I do is everything I teach and do today, my parents never taught me. They didn't not mean to not teach me. It's just they never showed me. It's like I remember being at the Short Hills Mall in New Jersey as a valet and looking at fancy cars. And I said to my mom, "That's a nice car." She goes, "Yeah, but it's not for people like us." And she was right. I grew up in a middle-class community. So she said, if you want it, work hard and be a good person. And that was the old mantra, work hard, be a good person. I attempted that in business. I attempted that in life and literally failed miserably, because working hard and pushing your head against the wall is not how you change your body, fix your relationship, make your business run, make yourself more cool or whatever it is you want to do. It just burns you out. So my big transition in life is when I realized that you don't have to be who it is that you are. You can go become the person you're capable of being. And that's the interesting thing. I think so many people play the part of themselves so long, they forget they're capable of being so much more.
It's interesting that you say about your parents, because, and in New Jersey, and I wonder if it's just a New Jersey thing, but I get the sense it's not. But man, I heard it's not for people like us. And, people who are rich or people who are successful usually have cheated, or you have, and all this work hard. And I agree. It's like, it's almost like we're instilled with this paradigm or these habitual patterns, and we just learn them from our parents who are trying to protect us. But at some point in our lives, we need to evaluate them for ourselves. Yep. So how do we go about doing that?
Well, the first thing you got to ask yourself, and this is where everything changes in your life. I mean, this is the whole point of the book Average Sucks. I realized the other day, I was thinking about it. I said, somebody goes, "Oh man, what does it mean? Do you really mean average sucks?" I said, for the people with a big ego, they're going to want to read the book because they think it's about being better than everyone else. Yeah, average sucks. Big kick in the head when you read it and you realize I'm talking about you're being average. So I bring back the point, because I look at, we have daughters same age almost, and
right.
young kids, and I think about where we get our programming and everything from. And one of the biggest things I share in the book, and I share this a lot, is the second you accept that you're not where you want to be, that's when your life begins to change. And I think a lot of times we got to ask ourselves the question, if you're ultimately happy with everything in your life and everything's going good, there's nothing you need to do. Actually, it's probably the time you need to change the most and really, really start digging and looking, because you're the safest and the most sound. But when you say that you're not where you want to be, then you got to ask yourself, where do you want to be? And then what are your beliefs around that? So when you say hey, listen, I'm not where I want to be in my marriage. Okay, great. What do you want from your marriage? Okay. What do I believe about that? What do I believe is possible? And then your beliefs start coming up. And I was sitting there in our car the other day. We're driving back from this Italian restaurant, and because I'm from Jersey, that's what we do, even in
Because you
Arizona.
got to go there.
And I'm driving back, and we're talking to my daughter, and we're giving her what we believe to be true based on right now in the world, how people should be. And we're talking about how, you know what? The world has lost the idea of hard work pays off. The world has lost the idea that you have to earn your thing. Nothing's handed to you. And we're giving her advice based on current circumstances, our way of thinking, our model of the world. And then there's other people that need to drop that at some points, because you know what? It isn't about, you're already doing good. You need to stop pushing yourself so hard. So we were giving her context based on we were giving her content based on our context, based on our conversation. And we're like programming our kid who may use that at the right or wrong time. So we believe that to be true, but we really have to evaluate that everything that we have wasn't ours. It was given to us, and we got to decide what we're going to keep. So it's like a perfectly furnished apartment that you might not have furnished.
Exactly. You know, it's interesting as you're saying that. Jill and I, when we started raising Talia, we made a commitment to each other that our goal was to not domesticate her. Our goal was to provide her with sort of,
make her live in the street. No house for her. She lives in the street.
That's right. What it is, but it's like we program our kids with different things because they're an open book. And, you know, the thing is, I notice how much of the way I behave has to do with what my parents have taught me. So, you know, one of the things that always impressed me about when I go to your programs is that it's not only like, hey, let's take a look at where you are now, where you want to be. You start to get really clear on where you want to be, but then you give us the tools to kind of change that.
Yeah. And that's a big piece of the puzzle. A lot of people know what they want. We were talking about dreaming earlier. You got this gorgeous property. We'll put it on paper that you're going to be getting, which is amazing. I'm excited about. And a lot of people have dreams and things they want to do. You can find it all over Google. But if you don't change the trajectory, the identity inside of your head, nothing's going to change. So it starts with language. And that's where things, because it's interesting. We had our superhuman event that we had in February, which people hear a name like that. It's like, oh yeah, it's just like someone named an event that, no, like literally we rewired parts of our brain while we were there. And how crazy that was. We had no idea COVID was coming 2 weeks later. Like,
dude, do you remember when I'm sitting in the corner dying?
Yes.
Yeah, yes. COVID, right there.
Was that COVID?
I'm almost positive because I had the fever, I had the whole 9 yards, and I could still go in, and with the energy of the people you brought together and the mindset changes we met, I was able to sit through it. And we didn't know, but I was like, I am not missing this. That's how important.
That's February 12th. The world had no idea.
Right. So it's interesting.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. You get, you know,
you got better. You got better in like 48 hours. You got better in 48 hours.
Right. It's crazy. And you know what's amazing is we didn't know what it was, so I just fixed it. The people that I surrounded me with helped bring up my vibration. The people that were in the room that Michael brought together raised my vibration and supported me. And I just got right through it. And I didn't put a name on it. I just said, I don't feel well. Here's the things to get better. And boom, it happened.
Yep. It's when you don't know what you don't know, sometimes a good idea. And you didn't know, so you just dealt with it. And that's the fascinating thing. It's like, when my little one was sick, we were in New York, and I'm not going to prescribe anything, but there's a homeopathic remedy that you can take that takes down a fever. And my friend recommended it. I went over to Whole Foods. It took me an hour to walk to Whole Foods in New York. Went and got it for her. 24 hours later, 102 down to 97, all good. And a little white tap, little white pills. But I just assume that's going to work sometimes. And what's interesting is that most people in life, they already have their mind made up. Their life is already programmed for their day. They're going to do their day regardless. Like, I think I want to tell a lot of people, stop trying so hard, because you're going to do what you're going to do anyways. You're just fighting yourself. And until you're willing to like change the track you're on, you might as well just stop fighting. You're going to wind up in the same place you're at next year again, because that's what we do. We're automatically programmed by ourselves. Or you got to build a new set of tracks to go on, and the tracks start with language.
And you know, that to me, it's so critical that we understand that that we are going to be in the same place. It's amazing. You are going to have the same results, or you're going to make results just by being alive. And the question is, do you want to just do it by default, which is what we usually do? We just run the same program in a loop over and over, or we design it. And I think it's important, and maybe you can tell us a little bit more about your sense of language and how, what that has to do with the way we're talking to ourselves and the people around us.
Well, give me a scenario. Let's make up a fake person named, we can't use Jill because we know Jill.
Jill.
Let's make a fake person named Bill. And Bill, what's going on with Bill? Let's make a scenario real quick, because I could just talk generally, or like let's straighten Bill out.
Yeah, you know, I mean, I think Bill is a guy who's an executive, and Bill works his ass off.
Yep.
You know, he makes, you know, good money. Maybe he makes like $120,000 a year. He works like 70 hours a week. He has sex with his wife once or twice a month.
Yep.
And he's got 3 kids, and he can't remember the last time he saw their hockey game.
Yep. Okay, good. So Bill's a good guy. Bill would like to change all that, but Bill's scared to change. And Bill's been doing that for 10 years, correct? So Bill's really good at being Bill. What's crazy about Bill is Bill could sit on his ass for 8 months, and literally in the last 4 months of the year, he'd make up all the difference financially, figure it out, because Bill's got an automatic. Here's the issue Bill has. Every night before Bill goes to bed, Bill has big plans of what he's going to do in the morning. Everybody's got big plans. It's almost like New Year's resolutions by the bed.
Every night.
Tomorrow's going to be different. I'll work out, I'll push-ups, squats, planks, eat differently, save money. I'm going to do something different. So Bill goes to bed and he says, you know what, things are going to be different. And before he goes to bed, he washes his face, combs his hair, whatever it is, gets ready for bed, puts his pajamas on or not, lays down and says, all right, last thing I got to take off is who I was today. Takes a script of who he was, puts it on top of who he wants to be tomorrow. When he wakes up in the morning, goes, who do I want to be today? And, you know, Bill goes and is who he was yesterday one more time. And this is the problem people have, is we're operating off of a script of an identity of how Bill sees Bill. Bill's identity is a guy that makes $110,000 a year, that has sex twice a month with his wife, that barely sees his kids' sporting events. Right. That's who Bill is. Bill does not see himself other than that. Bill's got dreams. Bill's got admirations, things he wants to do. But Bill's relationship with Bill, that's Bill. The question is, how do you change Bill? And that's one of the things Bill's got to realize is Bill wasn't that guy at one point. Bill became that out of necessity. And he's protecting that Bill in order to do 2 things. Protect him from the old Bill, but also from protecting from the Bill he wants to be.
Mm-hmm.
I can go as deep or as small as you want with this. So you ask away and I'll just keep going. I want to make this a choose your own adventure book from the 80s.
Right? Oh, they're the best. Well, I mean, I think it's really...
Go to page 37 if you want to eat the pizza. Go to page 36 if you don't like anchovies. Go to page 35 for a joke about your mother. Go ahead.
Right. Well, and so, and Michael, I mean, I think one of the important things for people to understand here is I'd be willing to bet that Bill has dreams, but he's not clear on them. And that's one of the things that, like, I learned working with you and is that, like, we write it down and we get really clear, because when people ask me in the past to write down my dreams, I was like, oh yeah, I'm going to do the, and then, like, I can write like a sentence. Yet now that I've worked on it, it's like I can write pages and pages and crystal clear detail. And I think that people think that there's some magic to being someone who visualizes and gets what they want. But I think what I've learned from you is that you just have to fucking do it. I mean,
yeah, the whole world right now. I woke up this morning with this crazy idea. So we're recording. It's July 2020, in the middle of craziness. Let's just call it that. Whatever it is, no opinions.
They both begin with C. I'm with you.
Well, yeah, basically. And I said to myself, I said, could the problem be as simple as 6 months ago, the world did not understand what they think about they get, at least half the time. Mm-hmm. And everybody's thinking about Corona, and everybody's thinking about economic issues, and everybody's thinking about a problem. I'm not saying you can always attract what you get, but what if it was right 20% of the time? And I have 100% of the world worried, nervous, scared, not know what to do, feeling bad, guilty, jealous, politically confused, and fighting. And what if what you thought about only worked 10 or 20% of the time? Well, if you're spending a lot of time thinking about things you want or don't want, you're going to move in that direction. So having goals and writing them down are super important. What's more important is really reinventing yourself and making it a reality and starting to act out the conversation. So what I believe is that years ago, when did you decide you were going to be a doctor?
Well, I think it was when I was a kid, and then I let it go for a long time.
Yeah, but did you go to college
Yeah, after college.
to be a doctor?
No, not at all. It
Okay.
was interesting.
So you went to college to be what?
Went to college to do natural resources and play outside. Get paid to play.
Okay, very good. Okay, very good. You went to school to play and have fun and party, right? And
Exactly.
then what happened is immediately afterwards, you got to a point where you wanted to become a doctor. When was your point of no return? Like, I'm really doing this.
Yeah, once you sign the contract, you're just sucked into it. And the
Okay,
interesting,
go ahead.
I just said the interesting point is the whole system reinforces that you're stuck there, and that's really the only track you have. And if you diverge from that track, we got to bring you back because that's the safest and only way you can pay your bills back. It's very interesting. It's like a conveyor belt where they just suck you. The further you go down the funnel, the harder it is to get out. It's really interesting.
Yeah. So you got to a day in your life where you said, never again, I'm going to be a doctor. That's what I'm going to do. You put a wall behind you, said, and because you're stubborn, I'm going to make it through this thing. Right. And you went to your schooling and everything else. You said, never again, I'm a doctor. Then you became a doctor and said, I'm going to make this work. But when you're young and you don't have a lot of money and you want to make it work, you got a goal for yourself. And what's funny is you're 5 years in and you're like, yeah, I'm doing great. Yeah, compared to you used to do, but not compared to what you're capable of doing. So I think most people's issues they have with goals is they don't understand the difference between a want and a dream. And they're two very, very different things that both are what you're not currently. So whenever you say to yourself, I want a new car, that's not a dream. That's like, even if it's a Ferrari, which is $2,000-3,000 a month down, right?
Right.
Maybe you got to put down 50 grand or whatever. It's doable. Anybody can figure it out. You make that guy, Bill, makes 120 grand a year, cut out some Starbucks, move some things around, maybe get reverse equity. I'm not saying to do any stuff. You could find a way to get a Ferrari. It's a want. Having 6 of them in a brand new house in the Hamptons, that's a dream. So what most people do is they confuse the two things. Wants are the ladders to our dreams. Wants make dreams possible. So we need to spend a lot of our time working on our wants in order to make the dreams a reality. Because once I want to be in better shape. Dream is to be on the cover of a magazine for your body. 2 different things. I want to eat healthier. Well, let's cut out some gluten and eat some broccoli, right? That's going to get you healthy. To becoming first in an Ironman, that's a dream. Totally down the road. Right. When human beings accept the difference between those two things, it helps in a big way. So that's the one thing. I think a lot of times people talk about dreams for themselves. They get confused because it isn't just about dreams. It's about really allocating wants in advance.
Well, like you mentioned, like the house, and I have a dream house, and to get to that, I have to dream big and change a lot of things. And to me, it also is a symbol of all the good I'm going to do in the world in order to be able to achieve that, because you can't achieve the house I want by just, working a little harder.
Average. Yep.
There's no average there. Yeah, absolutely. So one of the things, I think it's so interesting to think about. The one thing I thought about was your Iron Man example is really a great one to me, because that is a dream, but there also requires some action and persistence to get there. And how do you sort of discuss that and teach people about that so that they can get to their dreams?
Well, the big word is the word relationship, and most people don't recognize relationships everything. And I don't mean relationship with people; it's relationship with what you want. So you ask people, what is your relationship with exercise? What's your relationship with health? Most people, if they were honest, what kind of relationship would you have? Like, well, my relationship with health it's a fleeting one. I eat good some of the times. Okay, great. Well, because of that relationship, being the best in your Ironman is not going to happen. So take Bill. Bill wants to make more money. Bill, what's your relationship with money? Well, I make 120 grand a year and I'm a good guy and I work hard and I save money in my 401k. Okay, great. That is an average relationship with money. If your relationship with economics changes, you might read books on investing. You may become an investor. You may work on this. You may work on that. It changes things. So most people have to ask themselves the question, what is your relationship with the thing that you want? And it's a fascinating, what is your relationship with reading? Well, I like it from time to time. Great. Then you're never going to be very highly educated. It's just not going to happen. Does that make sense?
Absolutely. Well, and I think, what I hear is there's a huge amount of personal responsibility in here, and it's instead of looking outward for my results, I'm having to actually take a peek.
Sneak a peek.
Take a peek, yeah. Take a peek
Oh,
what's going on in here and look in the mirror,
you
you
know what's
know?
crazy? I said the other day, I was on Facebook. This is fascinating. Right? I love reframing. And I don't know if you heard this. If you were you on virtual court at all? Did you get on court home? You're probably
I didn't
busy.
last time,
Okay.
unfortunately, no.
This one was amazing. And I basically said to the guy, oh, forgive me, no, I'm on my Facebook and I avoid the news, right, as much as I can because it's
Right,
everywhere.
right.
Right? It's everywhere. So my governor comes on and he said something like, "Here's what's closed now." I'm like, "Shoot, I gotta look. I got kids. I gotta be semi-responsible and see the negativity for a minute." And he kept on saying, "Stay inside, stay inside, stay inside." And I'm like, "Dude, we gotta get out. We gotta get fresh air. We gotta get out." What is he doing? And then after a minute, I'm like, "Wait a second. I'm in control of the frame and the reframe. So we're all
Yes.
responsible for the reframe." So I kept on hearing him say, "Stay inside." He was like, "Got it. I need to go inside of my head and hear and feel this differently." And I realized every time he said inside, I realized that's where the answers lie, inside of your head. So he was
Yeah.
correct. I was hearing it wrong. My negative side, because we all have a side where we want to get pissed or negative, was like, "Screw this guy. I want to get out." He was right. I got to go inside and hear it all differently, experience it differently, feel it differently. So instead of being bothered, which destroys the immune system, makes you nervous, increases stress, destroys your ability to create dopamine inside the body, I basically said, interesting, go inside. Calm myself down,
Huh.
go inside. How do I want to hear this? And the answers were in there. It was fascinating. So I covered that with everybody. It's like, so instead of thinking to stay home, go inside, stay at home and hear, not just your physical house. Stop being so superficial, think he means your house or she means your house. Go inside your home, go inside your dwelling of you, and find the answers you need to make the best out of all this.
Yeah. It's so key. It's interesting because is that a circle bracelet you have on?
This is a core bracelet.
Oh, core. Sorry. So one of the things you just reminded me of was circle of influence is one of the programs Michael does, and it's interesting that whenever we get together and talk about this, one of the things that really struck me and totally changed my life was how you mentioned like how we influence everybody around us. We also influence ourselves. And since the first day I really heard that, I was like, it just was like a light switch flipped, and I realized how much, like, I always knew that I had influence over my child, and I always knew I had influence around people
Of
around me, but
course.
I've started really living that. And it's interesting, even like your teenager who's like, "F you, mom or dad," like, and they're still peeking around the corner. Oh, what are mom and dad doing? And they're always looking to you. And it's like, then I'm like, I change my language patterns around my family, which then
Yes.
basically means
Yes.
everything. And so
Yes.
let's talk about influence a little bit, because right now, I mean, in the beginning, the governor is influencing you in one way, but then you reframed it for yourself. I think that the power of our words is so critical for those around us. And I think it's something that like you're a master at. So,
Yeah. So what area of life do you think influence would be the most important of all? Like as influence myself, I turned off the air conditioning because it was freezing in here. It's
oh
110
yeah.
outside, 7 in here. So my question for you is give me an area of influence and I'd love to talk about it.
Well, I think the thing I talk about the most with my patients and their parents is parents and their kids. The parents want their kids to behave a certain way, yet they tell me repeatedly in front of the child that they don't act that way.
So they want their kids to act differently, right?
Correct.
Give me a scenario. Like what kind of thing do they want them to do?
Well, I mean, they're bratty. They prefer to just play video games all day. They don't want to do their homework. They're getting into their early teens, so they're rebelling. And we know that it's normal for teen boys to start to rebel against their parents because it's normal, but I don't like it.
Okay. So a lot of this comes down to the model of the world. There's what we want and there's what is. I steal something from the book The Prophet years ago, and it says we got to stop thinking we need to change, that we need to like make our kids to be like us. They need to be themselves, and they're not your kids anyways. They belong to the world. I mean, they're not yours. They belong to the world. And whether you believe that or not, yes, they are yours legally based on social implications, whatever it is. But bottom line, they belong to the world. We want to make them armed as best as possible. So how else do we learn these things? So the question is, how well have we taught core principles? So part of our issues we have with our kids rebelling is we worry, did we teach them correctly and will they come home? And I don't mean physically home. Will they come back to the appropriate set of values? So they went to, I remember we were kids, they could have went to CCD or Hebrew school, or they could have went to Sunday school, depending on what it was. And I know LDS has a group, and Scientologists have a group. That's Becky stuff, CCD and all that kind of stuff. We were kids.
Right, right on.
So what happens is we think we taught them correctly, right? And we wonder, are they going to come back? So part of it's our own insecurity, and letting them know we love you and we trust you, and you're going to make your own decisions in life. I want to let you know that, but do you know how to make the best ones? Have you learned? Have you figured that out? And question them. I'm even seeing Maya. Maya at 8 years old is like, stop telling me to brush my teeth. I'll just do it. We know she's not going to do it. We know if we do not tell her, she is not going to do it. But after about a week went by, she would probably be lecturing her friend to brush her teeth. She'll eventually do it, but she may not do it when we want her to do it. So we've got to recognize we are an influence on our kids. So we have to recognize they do half of what we do, meaning that if you save $1, they maybe save 50 cents. If you go for a run, they may do a half of a walk. So what I'm getting at is you've got to do more and boldly and just show them by example of what's going on. That's just a leadership concept. But to influence your kids, if they're bratty and doing what they're doing, you've got to ask yourself, what do you want them to do? That's the real question. Is what is the outcome you have for them? And so you say, I'd like them to be well-behaved, but what's your definition of well-behaved? Right. Is your definition, I want them to do exactly what I want them to do, or they want them to be respectful? Do they understand that set of rules? The problem is the world that they live in is different than the one you grew up in. And their reality is different than yours. Their model of the world is different than yours. So I guess they ask the question, is like, what do they want? The kids. Right. What are they looking to accomplish by rebelling? So my question is, are they rebelling because you're annoying, or are they rebelling because people just rebel? And why not give them an area to rebel in and allow them to be themselves in a safe, effective environment? So pick how contained you want them to be. And this goes for sales and business too. Give them a win. So I believe that made some sense what I just said.
I definitely, I agree. And I think the one thing that really sticks in my head too is if you continually tell your child what they're doing wrong, well, they're going to, obviously they're very impressionable and influenceable by you. And you're just yes, you're right. I am a bad kid. I do burn shit or whatever it is,
yep,
you know?
And then they're just going to do bad shit.
Right. And I think it's like going back to talking about goals and stuff. If you're not clear on what, because I know a lot of the parents I just want them to be better. I want them to behave. I'm like, well, what do you want? Well, actually, I want them to just not kill themselves and leave me alone. Okay, well, now we're getting some. At least
you're getting good. They haven't done that yet. Congratulations, you're winning.
So it's kind of interesting. But we are all capable of doing that. I just think it's interesting. When I first heard you teach some of these principles, yep. For me, I was like, shit, that's really hard. That means I have to really go home again and look at my responsibility. But as I did it more and more and more, it became easier and easier. And then everybody around me just starts doing the same thing. And everybody's succeeding more. Everybody's nicer to each other. It's like, it's crazy, you know?
I totally get it. And I think a lot of times with our kids, we're worried, and your fear is actually going to make them act incorrectly. So we have to trust. It's the hardest thing in the world to trust, but it's trust ourselves that we're doing an okay job, and recognize your kids smell fear. When you run after a dog, what does a dog do? Runs, right?
Yeah, runs.
So if you produce fear, your kids are going to run from you because you're scary. So if you're in fear, they don't come closer, they run away. So you've got to recognize, you've got to control your own emotional state. So how do you do that, Michael? Here's the deal. You have to decide you want to do that. You have to decide that you're going to commit to that, and they're not teaching it in school, and it's not really just Googleable. You got to make a decision that matters to you. Like I remember hearing somebody say once, like, why not master the art of leaving your house? I'm like, well, that sounds stupid. What do you mean? Like, imagine leaving in the morning, kiss your wife goodbye, you hug your kids, you make it an experience for 38 seconds, and then maybe if you get good at that, master coming home and be really good at coming home. It sounds silly, but why not get good at that? But here's the deal. If you can't master hiding your own fear, and I mean hiding it, dealing with it, you hide it, they're still going to smell it and know it. If you're worried, your kids are going to be worried. Like my dad, when they were going through layoffs at Bendix Allied Signal when I was a kid. And I remember my parents explaining to me layoffs. Nowadays, we shield this stuff from our kids. We don't want to tell them anyone died or anything happened. we tell Maya a lot of stuff. Like she's been to funerals. We've taken her to, my nephew passed away. Do you know what I'm saying? We took her to a funeral last year, right now. Does that make sense? She knew about Sean Stevenson when Sean passed, our good friend. He lived down the street. And we put her in front of things that look dangerous, right? We talk about difficult conversations.
Yes.
And the reason why is if we hide it, they still know you're hiding something. So you're a liar. And that's the thing. If you're a liar, you're giving them permission to lie as well. So we've got to get really clear as parents that we admit what it is we're doing. This is what's going on in the world right now. We're emitting fear, like mask, no mask, right, left, up, down. Like when I was a kid, it's ridiculous. Like, I didn't like you if you were a Devils fan when I was a kid because I was a Rangers fan. I don't know what you were, but does that make sense?
Flyers, baby.
You're a Whalers fan, right? Are you a Whalers fan?
Flyers.
Whatever, same thing, whatever. But the point is, you can still love somebody you don't agree with, and even with your children, we've got to be able to articulate that. But people want to be in control. I'll give you an interesting example of this. Where'd you grow up in Jersey?
Grew up in Hamilton, right near.
Did you go to Action Park?
To where?
You go to Action Park?
No.
Okay. So
Six Flags, but not Action Park.
What?
Six Flags, but not Action Park.
Okay, so Action Park is the world. I'm telling you this for a reason. I'm just reading the book right now on the guy that wrote it, on the guy that built it, his kid. And the most dangerous place in the entire world you could ever go. I've been 25 times. I have stars. And the guy invented the park. I couldn't figure out why I loved it. I tell everyone about it. It's still open. It's called something safer now. And it's called Class Action Park, Traction Park, whatever they call it. But the guy built the park for a very interesting reason. He said, I want to let people be in control of how dangerous it is or how much fear is involved. Because when you go to Disney, you're not really in control. You got a harness around you, you're on the ride, and you're on their tracks. Okay, a screw up would have to happen. But this is like, here is a ski slope, here is a mat, there is a break if you want to use it. If not, don't. Yes, people have died. Go. And it's like you're in control of it all. People want to be in control of their destiny. They don't want to be controlled. So what we need to do is help create the guardrails for our children. And most people don't recognize we want to show them what's over the edge. We want to show them the guardrails, show them they're going to be safe, let them feel comfortable, and let them walk up to the edge and look over.
Look over. Yeah, it's interesting, as you said, because so much of that is true. That I find, like, for me, I can figure when I'm afraid, I understand when I'm afraid, and it's just I'm afraid to do it, or I'm afraid I'm going to die, like, for real.
Yeah, big difference, isn't it?
It's really easy. But so now I've learned to lean into the fear. And as you were saying that, I asked if I'm a big telemark skier, and one of the things I said to a buddy of mine who used to do like free ride world championships and crap ski all over the world, one of the best telemarkers ever. I said, how do you ski the way you ski? You look so in control. And he goes, the trick really is you're on the edge of control all the time. Yep. And you just know where your limit is. And then you just ride on that edge and you feel it out, and you feel it out for the day and the slope. Yep. And it's like, but I started to do that, and you're scared shitless. But then you're like, oh, I have more control and I have more freedom if I just kind of like start to live again.
Yes. Yes. And I think a lot of us want to control things instead of realizing you can't control things. What you can do is, you can work with what you have. Does that make sense? So Somebody says, I want my kid to change. Okay. So what do you have right now? My kid is misbehaving. Great. You have a misbehaving kid. Just own it. Just own it. My kid misbehaves. Just got to own the scenario. Someone's like, I want to get the business deal. Do you currently have it? No, then I don't have the deal. We got to get out of dreamland sometimes, and we got to get into reality. So the only way you're going to get your dreams is through reality. So you have to realize what it is you want. So you got a kid, they're getting C's in school, and they're causing some problems or some issues or different types of things. You got to call it what it is. It doesn't have to stay there, but it has the ability, but you have to also realize what it is you're currently dealing with. So that's influence number one, is what am I dealing with? Mm-hmm. And I think a lot of people they're not willing to get really real on what they have going on. It's like you walk into a doctor, what's wrong? I don't know. I don't feel good. Well, that's impossible to help you. Could you give me a place to start? Yeah, my body. Could you give me somewhere else to start? My head hurts. How long has it been going on? 3 days. Great. What is it? Is it thumping? Is it pulsating? Do you throw up? No. So like you build a thing. So a lot of times we only see that one little thing. So we're back to this kids again, and we're like, oh my God, my kid's so awful. He's doing something so bad. but what is he doing good? What is she doing good? What do they do?
Exactly.
Where have they been before? Let's get a full diagnosis, not the one pinpointed thing. You get it? So a
Totally.
lot more
I
going on in
agree.
the world right now than Corona. It just seems to be on everybody's freaking mind.
Right. Exactly. And it's like, if you look around, there are these things, and it's like,
There's
I
babies
remember back,
born. There's
what's that?
babies born. Giraffes and people.
That's amazing, right? That, I actually heard, it's crazy. There are these cats, they got Corona and they got better. To me, it's just unreal. Just like some people, like almost all of them, they got it and they got better.
Yep, and they continually will.
Right. Exactly. It's crazy like that. Yeah, it is. It's interesting to me with you know, kids they just really draw it out in you. And I see a lot in my practice. It's either parents who have their kids who are sick, or the people themselves are coming in. And one of the things that I think is really interesting is a lot of people are into their story. Like when you were just talking to me about, like, what are my symptoms of the headache, right? I just was like, oh, if everyone was that clear, okay, well, it's my body. Yep, it's my head. It's been 3 days, and they just answer the question. A lot of people are like, oh, well, like, I had this headache and it's been like 6 months, and the problem is, and then they go, blah, 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 and you're like, what does this have to do with a headache? And it's like they want to do all the work, and it's like, story and getting stuck in your story seems to be something that really takes people off on tangents.
Yeah, and I think a lot of times, how often do you see that in your customer and in your clients? How often do the people that come in, whether your clients or your patients, how often do they do that?
A ton, like 75 to 90% of the time, depending upon the day. They love the story. It's like COVID. We're almost more interested in how bad it could be than actually what we can do to get better or to stay healthy.
Yes, agreed. So I think it all comes down to what's influencing you. Like, what is your direction you're going after? So you mentioned the dream is the direction. It's whatever you put the most amount of time, energy, money, focus on is where your body and your mind is going to go. This is not old thinking. This is stuff that's been around for years, but most people are not very clear on how to do that. And that's where the change and the shift come in.
Yeah. So I do have a question, because I can't leave I can't leave New Jersey just yet. Hockey in New Jersey. Since,
Yep.
I did play hockey out of Bricktown. So what's up
Played
with
out of
hockey
Morristown.
these days?
Yeah, I don't know. Hockey, supposedly the NHL is playing again. I'm playing at the arena once a week right now myself. I cut back a bit during all of this because I was spending a lot of time doing it. And right now people need my help. So we have our times in our lives. I got to take care of myself. I play once a week, but I used to play 2-3 times a week, but I'm still playing once a week right now.
Awesome.
But NHL is starting again soon, supposedly.
Yeah, well, that'll be good. So what is it about hockey, though, for you? Because I mean, that's like one of the first. It's crazy. It's like the first time I'm like, I learned you play hockey. I'm like, and this is like the thing. I'm like, oh, Bernoff plays hockey, man. This is like, like real people. It's like, here you are,
When I
like,
wrote
hey,
about
I'm
it
a
in my book,
mindset guy. I've got the book.
People told me in hockey, they're like, don't write about it in the first chapter because people that don't like hockey, well, then if you don't like hockey, then you're probably not supposed to read the book. I mean, it's or find a way to relate to it. I'm just being honest. Like, if you get bothered by that, you're not my guy. So I've always loved it. I always loved being different. You know what I mean? I my whole life, anything that I could be different. Like, you like this, I like that. Like, I like Sega, other people have Nintendo. I liked, I like hockey, they liked baseball. Whatever was different is what I liked my whole life. I've always went against the grain, but I think it's such a cool sport. It's what we do in hockey. Even if you're decent at it, is hard enough to do standing still on your feet, let alone with skates on going 30 miles an hour while someone's trying to hit you, chasing a little puck around with a stick. So everything's an extension of your body. So ice hockey is an incredible sport. Incredible.
Yeah, it's one of my favorite things to do. So,
Yep, I love it.
Yeah, and I guess, like, kind of as we, this. I mean, we could talk about this stuff all day, and
I
I
can
think
talk for days.
right? I think people are getting the sense of what it's all about. What's the best place? Because I know everybody's going to be like, all right, how do I learn more about what Bernoff is doing, and what are the next steps, so that, because it's really good to hear us talk about this, and I can tell people how you influenced me and the things I do, and you can talk about your influences. But how do people put this into action today so that they can start doing it?
Yeah. So
and
here's
how
the
can
thing.
they work with you closer?
Yeah, it was really something interesting happened. Guy asked me the other day, like, why are you so excited about COVID? I'm not excited about COVID, but I am excited about what's happened in the world, because over the last 4 months, I would say instead of 3% of the world open to making themselves better, the number's about 10%, which
Right?
is really incredible. So one really good thing is a lot of people are like, wait a second, I got caught with my pants down. I didn't save enough money. Holy crap, I'm not a great parent. I can't homeschool well. Holy shit, I'm really obese, or I'm an extra 30 pounds. Corona likes people that are 30 pounds overweight. I got to change that. So people are more open to it. So when this whole first thing happened, we had an option, my wife and I. We said, like, we got a couple things we can do. We can not work for the next 10 years because we can afford that and literally just sit back and sip Mai Tais at the beach.
And chill, right?
Chill. Or we could do what we're here to do on this world. So we started saying to people, said, how do you find you, Michael? Well, why not come work with us? And I'll do it for free. And you can hang out and come join me for our call to action program. And I'm letting anybody take it. I came out of digital retirement. Every month I'm doing it. So if you're watching this, I don't care who you are. You could be, as long as you're of an age that's appropriate. I'm going to encourage you to check out our call to action program. It's 5 days over the phone, working directly with me on what makes you do what you do, your inner psychology, what makes you do what you do, understanding what motivates you, what motivates the people around you, how to get out of your comfort zone. And I put together a little website. It's calltoactiontime.com, and spend a few days with me. It's 5 days. If you don't have a Sunday evening and a couple hours a day for 4 days, you're never going to change anything. And I got a morning and night class. It's just, I'm not your guy. Go read a book. If you want to read my book, you can go to averagesucks.com and pick up the book. I'm giving away a bunch of audios, and we can get it on Amazon, Barnes and Nobles, Target, wherever it is that you shop. You can get the book. But I start with that. I mean, literally, if you're here watching this right now, the world you want, I believe you're going to be judged over the next 6 months to a year, what you do and how hard you work during this time right now. You're going to set up the next 10 years of your life because the whole world's taking a nap and sleeping. Let me guide you and show you how to work on some things. And if only in those 4 or 5 days that we spend together, you feel better about yourself, like yourself, call yourself out in some shit, get better, feel better. That if that's all you got, it's a hell of 4 days. Way better than you get with the news. All I'm asking you for is a little of your Netflix time. You're not commuting to work as much anymore. Nobody is. And spend a few hours with me making it happen. So it's calltoactiontime.com.
Right.
And check it out. And definitely get the book.
Yeah, and I'll drop all those links in the show notes too.
Good.
The important point for everybody listening is call to action is really what it is. It's getting off your ass and doing the thing that you've something. Yep. And, you know, I could go on for hours just telling you stories of friends of mine who have radically changed their lives. And it's like, it is unbelievable. Like, I remember one person was telling me they took a dance class because they couldn't figure out what to do. They went and took a dance class, changed their life. Yep. And to the point where they're like, they emotionally just unleashed their power.
Yes.
And it was just something really simple that just pushed them a little bit. So it's not, and the beauty of what you're talking about, Michael, is it's not always just the thing right in front of you that seems, you know, it's like working with you. Like, I definitely have been put on the spot where you're like, there's no bullshit. Say what you really mean. Don't tell me that crap you just told me. Let's get to the bottom of it, because you owe yourself honesty. And as soon as you start getting truly honest with yourself, you realize how powerful you are, and you can share your gifts with the world. So I highly encourage everybody to take it. And it's free.
Yep, I'm giving it away. Obviously, if you're not serious about it, please don't take it. We're in triage mode. It's hard to hire right now. It really is. And I'll tell you that because there's Corona going on, right? So we have the same staff, but 3 times the amount of people that want to work with us. If you're serious, do it. If you're not, don't. Don't waste your time. Don't waste your own time. And if you want to know what the catch is, I want to build a great world for my kids. And I want to get a bunch of people together, whether it's entrepreneurs or stay-at-home moms or dads or stay-at-home dads or whatever it is, people that used to be athletes that are retired, or Al Bundy, whatever it is. I want to get a bunch of people together, Polkai. I want to get a bunch of people together to make a difference in the world so my kids actually have a good place to live. I want to teach people the ethics and the concepts on how to get what it is they want, because no matter how much people beg, the world is not going to hand it to you. And if you want a world that things are going to hand to you, congratulations, you'll just never have your dreams. So I don't want to get political on all of you, but you got to really make a decision. What world do you want?
Yeah. I mean, you know, it's so clear, because unless you're hiding programs, and maybe there's a new one in development or something, but I've done like all these programs that you've got. And the thing that always stood out to me was throughout everything, the biggest piece of action that you held us accountable to was
Yep.
how is this going? I want this to change you, but how is this also going to change the world? And
Yes.
to me, that's really the mark of a man, the mark of a woman is they are doing it for to improve their own lives
Yes.
as well as the planet. And for me, I do all the stuff I do because I want a world that's awesome for my daughter too. So
Yep.
between Talia and Maya, we have a lot to work for, and I greatly appreciate you sharing with us.
We got a lot to do, man. And it's interesting. I'll leave you with this idea. Tom, and thanks for having me on too. When this whole Corona thing happened, do you go through the American Girl phase? Did you have that?
The what?
Dolls? American Girl doll
Oh,
phase?
yeah, very briefly. Very, very briefly. That was quick, thank God.
Okay. So we went through the phase, and my daughter Maya gets Rebecca, which is a doll from Russia, and she wanted to be where my grandparents are from. And we learned about it. And her grandparents taught her something my parents taught me. It said, the world works great, but we have to repair the parts that don't work by repairing ourselves. So
Nice.
The world is in needing of repair right now. And we have to do our part to repair ourselves and repair the world. That is our duty as human beings, is to do our part to repair ourselves, to repair the world. And if that starts with as simple as, you know what, I'm going to spend 4 to 5 days giving a crap about myself and seeing what I'm made of and see what I can do. From there, I'm going to do my part. Like this morning, I got up. I don't want to work out any more than anybody else. I do 20 squats when I get out of bed. I do 30 push-ups. You know what I'm saying? A couple of crunches. And you know what? I'm doing my part so I can tell you I did that. And maybe that inspires you. Maybe that inspires someone else. Got a busy day. Maybe later I'll go on my vibration machine and, you know,
Nice.
those make you.
Love it.
I love those things. But the point of why I'm bringing it up is we've got to do our part. And you're doing it by doing this show. I mean, this is amazing. You want to share with people to make the world better. A lot of things you can do today. And here you are working to make the world better.
Yep, I agree. So, and same with you. So thanks for making the time to do this. We'll have to do it again soon. And
Yes.
Everybody, calltoactiontime.com and grab Average Sucks. It's averagesucks.com, right?
Yeah,
Or
exactly. Or a little thing
Barnes
called
and Noble, Amazon.
Yeah, or Bib, discount books. It's over in Europe, Canada, whatever. You can get it.
Damn. Nice stuff, man. Thanks so much for making the time
brother.
to share.
Thank you.
We'll chat soon.
You got it.
Thanks for listening. Don't miss out on a single thing. Subscribe to our podcast and then join me at tommorcroft.com.